Synth here. 2:43 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2014. And I've got you over here on my webpage. I'm going to put a link down below to this so you guys can read up on this and investigate yourself on this new discovery that was just announced on CBS News of all places on the 21st, yesterday or a day and a half ago, announcing that the use of dual beams, in this case lasers, also frequency, can be used to have an interacting effect with each other. One beam used to strip electrons from the atmosphere, the other beam used to pump up that area of plasma that's created that then forms CCN, cloud condensation nuclei particles, which form into raindrops. And they can target the beams, cross them, use one beam to pump the other one, and produce weather. And this is confirmed. Here's the article down below. The graduate students have done the experiments in the laboratory and also can control lightning. So we're not just talking about making a plasma area, making lightning and controlling where it goes using two transmitters. Now, scalar interferometry, that is something that was a term that was coined by Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Bearden in the 1980s, where he talked about two transmitters crossing their beams, having a heating effect, a plasma effect, at a distance, which then can be used for anything from missile defense to causing weather, causing earthquakes, and he explains it all. In the 1980s, he does a full conference. This is just a small part of that. I think it's like 2 hours long. Anyways, you can watch Thomas Bearden explain scalar radar in the 1980s, or you can read the article confirming one beam over the other, one pulses, their word, not mine, into the other, creating the plasma bubble and controlling it. And they call it a filament. Now, here's a diagram showing real-life examples of scalar interferometry happening. We're talking about two beams crossing, having an effect or an excitement where the beams cross. Here's another one, where the beam crosses, the other beam is excited. And here's an example, real life, again, in a storm where we have two intersecting radar stations, one right in the middle, and we've got a interferometry happening in between the three. This is during the time of the Joplin tornado. We've had some very severe weather events caused by frequency. The United States Navy used frequency only, not lasers, frequency, HARP, and a radar to generate a plasma bubble in the atmosphere and then control it, pump it up, and move it for over an hour. That was at the start of 2013, U.S. Navy using HARP up in Alaska. Now, if you guys are curious how this works, the process behind it, it takes way longer than this kind of video to explain it. We're talking multiple hours I've spent explaining these things. Also, we have 3 pages, each page almost a month worth of reading in itself. So you can go read those. That's all here. Just wanted to bring you up to date, let you know that everybody who said it was impossible, the laboratory experiments have been done. There you go, guys. Much love.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video from A Plain Truth. Hopefully I've got the volume fixed so it's not as inconsistent. I apologize, I'm working on it. I want to get a little more into this new Space Force that's being created by the Roman Catholic Michael Pence. And here we have another launch, a fake launch of another Elon Musk or Bezos missiles into space. And apparently all lies, all theater, all a Truman TV show. What they're really doing, look at the arc, folks, they're just dropping it into the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle was created to hide all the rockets that never went into space, because there is no space, as you pointed out. There's only ether, there's a dome over us. But here is actual pictures of lightning strikes in Italy. Look at the lightning, look at the lasers. And we're going to get a little more into the lasers here. You can buy a laser at 7-Eleven and point it up and hit a pilot coming in a few thousand feet. That's commercial, buy it at your store. But there's also lasers that apparently are being used to take down bridges. I don't have any evidence of this, but it's very circumstance that how a bridge in Italy the other day completely collapsed out of nowhere, where you can see the rain was not that heavy, and it just, when does rain bring down a construction steel bridge anyway? This happened in Genoa, Italy. I believe it was August 14th. It was built in 1968. And all of a sudden, this bridge just collapses out of nowhere. They're calling it a violent storm caused the collapse. which is absolutely ridiculous. When does a storm cause a bridge to collapse? So here we see the federal fault lines. You wonder why the California states are being burned up. It's all controlled by federal land. Shout out to the firefighters who are risking their lives. Some are dying, some are breathing in toxicity all over from these directed energy weapons that are clearly being used. California is clearly under attack, as well as many other states and many other countries as well. So as the explanations by the fire officials get fewer and fewer, we are finding they are taking more and more assertive measures to keep the public from truly discovering and finding out what's going on. They're banning drones that could kill, and they're charging $20,000 fines for anybody flying drones. Here's on our web page and Facebook. The fires were between 5 and 20 miles apart. Car windows vaporized. Wheel and steel parts melted. Trees burning from inside out. Homes burning without burning the landscape or trees. Cars mysteriously burns, turning over on their roofs. Crescent-shaped cars from drivers to seats. Hundreds of people dead. But there's more than that, folks. There was 170 fires in 9 different counties. It started in Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, Mendocino County, in October 9th. Look at that. There were supposed to be winds. Do you see any debris? Any debris at all? Look at how these selective fires targeted here and here across the 6-lane freeway, when supposedly it was all about the winds that came out of nowhere. There was no storm forecast that day. Peaked up at 2,000 feet up to some 80 miles an hour and dropped right back down. And here's another huge anomaly, and I'm going to keep harping on this. The winds came from the east. We have the Sierra Nevadas. There's no winds that ever come from the east. We got the Pacific Ocean. And here is proof positive once again. This is actual photographic evidence of the day, the morning of the fires. Look at the westerly winds blowing to the west, not the east. They're up in the Sierras. You have plumes going towards the east. But there's proof evidence, as well as this proof provided by Mental Boost and in Truth by Grace.
As I watch this video by Mental Boost here, you see that it is in fact that piece of wood that is burning right at the point where the nails or the bolts are in there. And he goes through this video and he actually shows how this sign here, as compared to Google Earth, he demonstrates that 3 of the 4 bolts on this particular sign have failed. Now, if you look at how this fire is burning around it, there's no fire anywhere. There's not even fire on the ground here. Well, maybe a little bit up here, but really, it's just this signpost that's loosed itself of the sign by virtue of a failure of the bolts. So that really got me convinced that there has to be something that's electromagnetic. There's an electromagnetic quality to this. So what I did tonight was I did a bunch of research on the electromagnetic exposure of wood. What happens when you microwave wood? Okay, and this particular research journal really does a great job of summing it up for me. Now, pyrolysis is something that I have to define for you guys if you don't know what it means. It's a decomposition of something that's brought about by high temperatures. In other words, it's a change of the physical nature of whatever is being heated at high temperatures. So pyrolysis is this decomposition or this change of the physical nature. We'll get a load of what happens when you force this change on wood. If you inundate wood with microwave heating, pyrolysis produces something called level glucosan. Well, what's level glucosan? You guys, level glucosan is something, it's a component that happens when you really heat cellulose fibers, and it is a very volatile, extremely flammable material. So in other words, you can accelerate cellulose combustion, or the burning of wood, by exposing it to microwave energy. And if you have a nail going through that cellulose fiber, you guys, you're going to catch that thing on fire so quick. You're going to catch it on fire quick, and by virtue of the fact that if you expose the entire composition to microwaves, you're going to get more of this glucosan, and you're going to get a huge fire. Think about how many cellulose fibers you guys have around your house that are affixed by electromagnetic conductors. Think about it. You've got carpet that's tacked down. Okay, you have wood that's nailed against other pieces of wood. You have trusses with nails through it. You have paneling with nails through it. You have nails in your couch, assembling your furniture. you have all sorts of electromagnetic conductors by nails and bolts and screws and stuff like that through all sorts of cellulose fibers in your house, whether it's your curtains, or it's your carpeting, or it's your bedding, or it's your bed springs in your mattress. You start exposing that to high levels of microwave radiation, and you're going to get rapid pyrolysis, which is going to produce this level of glucosan in your cellulose fibers, which is just going to make your house super flammable and probably ignite at that point where the electromagnetic conductor is actually centered through that cellulose fiber, which would totally account for what the heck we're seeing here, you guys.
Part is upside down. If you look close, you can see that the wood part extends above the diamond shape. So in the Google Maps image, you can see that the wood stops below the top of the sign. So that means that top bolt has failed or disappeared, and the sign has swung around and is now flipped upside down. And that means that 3 out of 4 of those signpost bolts have disappeared. And is that what's going on with the guardrails? With them coming down, they don't look right in the guardrails. The nuts just slip off, or the bolts just are missing altogether. Very strange, but this could indicate where the fire is starting and doing its business, how it's starting. I mean, it's still a mystery. This is not a video that's answering any questions. It's just pointing at a detail that really indicates that there's something going on with bolts and the wood, the fire starting at that location.
Let the love light in. Let the love light in. Let the love light in. I never cried easily, never wanted anyone to see me. Now it's time to let the old ghost die. I'm crying for my mother, crying for my father, crying for my unborn son. I'm crying for my heartbeat, crying for the beauty, crying for the girl I was. Oh, my breaking heart, don't stop now. Oh, my aching heart, go deeper. Crack you open. So I'm crying for my brother, crying for my sister, crying for the dream undone.